Laudetur Jesus Christus. Vatican and World News.
In the headlines this Friday, May 21st, Pope Francis calls on all Catholics to pray for peace and dialogue in the Holy Land as a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas comes into effect. The Vatican makes changes to the process leading up to the Synod of Bishops, and a priest in northern Nigeria is killed by armed bandits and another remains missing. In the Vatican, I'm Devin Watkins. Pope Francis has invited bishops from around the world and all Catholics to join in prayer for peace in the Holy Land. The prayer will take place as part of a Pentecost vigil celebrated by Catholic ordinaries at St. Stephen's Church in Jerusalem. The Pope launched the appeal at the end of his address to new non-resident ambassadors accredited to the Holy See. My thoughts, said Pope Francis, turn to the events taking place these days in the Holy Land. He thanked God for a ceasefire agreed on Thursday between Israel and Hamas, and he prayed that all sides might pursue the paths of dialogue and peace. I take this opportunity, added the Pope, to ask all the pastors and faithful of the Catholic Church to unite themselves spiritually with this prayer that takes place on Saturday. As the Pope spoke, other world leaders voiced their support for the ceasefire deal, which put an end to this latest round of violence in the Gaza Strip. Robin Gomes has the latest.
As the ceasefire came into effect early on Friday, people in Gaza took to the streets in cars and on foot to celebrate. The heavy bombing by Israel during the 14-day war cost the lives of at least 232 Palestinians, including 65 children. Israel lost 12 people, including 2 children. Both sides are claiming victory. Hearing about the ceasefire, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Israeli and Palestinian leaders have a responsibility beyond the restoration of calm to start a serious dialogue to address the root causes of the conflict. He said Gaza is an integral part of the future Palestinian state and no effort should be spared to bring about real national reconciliation that ends the division. U.S. President Joe Biden hailed the ceasefire as a genuine opportunity towards the larger goal of building a lasting peace in the Middle East. He pledged his commitment to work with the UN and other international stakeholders for rapid humanitarian assistance and reconstruction efforts in Gaza. Gaza's infrastructure, already weakened by a 14-year blockade, has rapidly deteriorated with the latest fighting. Medical supplies, water and fuel for electricity are running low in the territory on which Israel and Egypt imposed the blockade after Hamas seized power in 2007. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who brokered the truce, said Biden and he exchanged vision around reaching a formula that would calm the current conflict between Israel and Gaza through diplomacy. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the peace deal, urging both sides to consolidate it and stabilize the situation in the long term. UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said all sides must work to make the ceasefire durable and end the unacceptable cycle of violence and loss of civilian life. I am Robin Gomes.
As the people of Israel and Gaza emerge from this latest round of armed conflict, aid agencies are assessing the damage and preparing to assist those affected. Sister Bridget Teig is the Secretary General of Caritas Jerusalem. She told us that the needs will be great in Palestine after these 11 days of war.
When the bombardment ends, we, Caritas, and of course others, will do a rapid assessment of the destruction and what is needed. One thing that will be needed by experts is to protect and educate the local people against the danger of explosive remnants of war. In previous wars, children especially were injured, sometimes killed, by these explosive remnants. The last war, 2014, I lived in Gaza for 3 years after that, from early 2015, and it took up to 3 years for the damage to be repaired, to buildings and homes, and the buildings were not of a good quality, but they were rebuilt after about 3 years. I've heard estimates by experts say that after this war, it may take anything between 5 to 10 years to rebuild, to re-establish the infrastructure. So the needs of Gaza after this war, material needs, are almost unlimited.
Thanks there to Sister Bridget Teig with Caritas Jerusalem. Pope Francis today sent a message on the occasion of a one-day virtual conference looking at the challenges and opportunities affecting insular peoples. Lydia O'Kane has the story.
As the Church marks Laudato Si Week, the Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development and the Anglican Centre of Rome on Friday organised a joint ecumenical initiative on the theme Building Fraternity, Defending Justice, Challenges and Opportunities for Insular Peoples. The virtual conference aims to explore concerns about the human rights and people's rights situation in the specific context of insular states, including social and environmental challenges in light of Pope Francis' encyclical letters Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti. In a message to the prefect of the Dicastery, Cardinal Peter Turkson, Pope Francis described the conference as an important ecumenical initiative involving mutual dialogue born of the wisdom and experience of various Christian traditions. He also said the event offered an opportunity for believers, government leaders and members of the broader civil society, especially the young, to address the particular challenges faced by insular peoples. Of these challenges, the Pope mentioned violence, terrorism, poverty, hunger and the many forms of social and economic injustice and inequality that nowadays bring harm to all, but in particular to women and children. Of concern too, he said, is the fact that many island peoples are exposed to extreme environmental and climate changes, some of which result from an unbridled exploitation of natural and human resources. Pope Francis added that as a result, they are experiencing not only environmental deterioration, but also a human and social deterioration that increasingly puts at risk the lives of the inhabitants of these island and sea territories. The Pope expressed the hope that the conference will contribute to the development of practical international and regional policies aimed at meeting such challenges more effectively and strengthening the awareness of everyone's responsibility to care for our common home. Pope Francis said an attitude of solidarity and respect was necessary in order to resolve the environmental and social problems affecting those living in island and maritime areas. In conclusion, the Pope expressed the hope that the work accomplished during this meeting would be a sign of the important role that island peoples can play in furthering the growth of a more human and inclusive world. I'm Lydia O'Kane.
Pope Francis today also met with members of the French Lazarus Association, which brings together young working adults and homeless persons to share a home. The Pope thanked the members for their courage and strength in the service aimed at making every person feel precious, worthy and welcome. Francesca Merlo reports.
Greeting members of the French Lazarus Association on the occasion of its 10th anniversary, Pope Francis thanked God for their meeting, which was cancelled last year due to the health crisis. The Pope noted that their association is built on simple principles, such as to be oneself with others, to find joy, to feel loved, to learn benevolence as in a family, to live together very simply. These principles, he explained, make sense and shape a stable group only if they flow from a strong friendship with Christ, the source of your work for good. The Pope noted that the young people involved in the association have chosen to be, for the people they serve, the hand, the eyes, the ears, the smile of God. He urged them to not be afraid to carry the torch of hope and love, and to find the strength to be witness of God's tenderness in the midst of a culture of selfishness, individualism, indifference, discarding and contempt for the poor and the weak. Addressing then the dear friends who are benefiting from this initiative of love, the Pope said, "You who live this beautiful adventure with your history, sometimes full of sadness, loneliness, tears, trials, exclusion and rejection, you are a precious gift that makes us see the love of the Lord." The Pope then noted that having received so much good and attention from others, you in turn become men and women capable of uplifting, consoling, soothing wounds and making God present in the heart of your lives. Bringing his speech to a close, the Pope urged all those present to stay true to their goals. Today, more than ever, we need to build a world full of life and fraternal relationships. Because actions derive from a union that inclines more and more towards the other considering him or her precious, worthy, welcome and beautiful, beyond physical or moral appearances. Be witnesses, urged the Pope, witnesses of God's mercy and goodness. I'm Francesca Merlo.
The Vatican Secretariat for the Synod of Bishops today announced sweeping changes to the synodal process. Pope Francis will launch the next synod in October of this year, opening a three-phase process which will involve the entire Church. The synodal process will culminate with the assembly in Rome in October 2023. Christopher Wells has the details.
to make the synodality desired by Pope Francis since the beginning of his pontificate concrete and visible. The next Synod of Bishops, scheduled for October 2023, will not only be celebrated in the Vatican, but in each particular church of the 5 continents, following a multi-year itinerary divided into 3 phases: diocesan, continental, and universal. The General Secretariat of the Synod announced the new synodal itinerary on Friday in a document approved by the Pope. The fullness of the synodal process can only exist if the local churches are involved in that process, the document states. Now, for the first time, a decentralized synod is being celebrated. The synodal path will begin at the Vatican in the presence of the Pope on October 9th and 10th, 2021. The particular churches will begin their journey on Sunday, October 17th. The objective of this phase is the consultation of the people of God. To that end, the Secretariat of the Synod will send a preparatory document accompanied by a questionnaire and a vademecum with proposals for carrying out the consultation in each particular church. The diocesan discernment will culminate in a pre-synodal meeting. The contributions will then be sent to their own episcopal conferences, where the bishops will make a synthesis that they will then send to the General Secretariat of the Synod. The first stage will be completed by 2022. Once the material has been obtained, the first Instrumentum Laboris will be drafted, which will be published and sent to the particular churches in September 2022. This will mark the beginning of the second continental phase. The aim is to engage in dialogue on the Instrumentum Laboris. At the end of that process, each continental grouping will draft a final document, which they will send to the General Secretariat in March 2023. The Secretariat will then draft a second Instrumentum Laboris based on the responses, which will be the basis for the culmination of the synodal journey in October 2023, the celebration of the General Assembly of the Bishops in Rome. I'm Christopher Wells.
And finally, a parish priest in northern Nigeria has been killed in an attack by armed bandits, while another Catholic priest was kidnapped. Father Alphonsus Bello lost his life in the attack on Thursday night, as Father Benedict Mayaki reports.
Father Alphonsus Bello, a parish priest in northern Nigeria, was found dead on Friday morning, while another priest, Father Joe Kiki, was allegedly kidnapped by gunmen suspected to be bandits. At the time of his death, Father Bello was the parish priest of St. Vincent Ferrer Catholic Church, Malumfashi, Katsina, in northern Nigeria. Father Kiki was a priest in residence at the parish. Confirming the news, the National Director for Social Communications of the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, Father Mike Umor, in a statement, said that Father Bello's lifeless body was found on a farmland behind the Catechetical Training School in Malumfashi, Katsina State. It was gathered that the bandits invaded the church premises on Thursday night and started shooting in the air. The late priest was said to have resisted abduction, but the armed men overpowered him and whisked him away alongside Father Joe Kiki. Currently, the whereabouts of Father Kiki is still unknown, and the kidnappers have not made any contact. I'm Father Benedict Mayaki.
That brings us to the end of this edition of Vatican and World News. For more on these and other stories, go to our web portal at www.vaticannews.va. There you can also find all of our broadcasts in podcast form. And don't forget to catch the latest updates on our Facebook page and Twitter feed. Many thanks go to our sound engineers in studio. In the Vatican, I'm Devin Watkins.